Alright, this is a quick screencast to show you guys what I did in class. So here I've got an Excel file which has the element data that we talked about before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to export it out and put it into MySQL. So the first thing you'll notice is that in this file I've got three different worksheets. I've got general, isotopes, and decays. So the data that I showed you in class I've consolidated and put into one Excel file. And in terms of the homework, if you want to have 3 worksheets in one file where you have your citations, your journal information, and then your publisher information, that would be a good way to go. The only thing about doing those in one file versus doing them in 3 separate Excel files before you import is that with Excel you basically can only export to a tab delimited text format only the worksheet that you're currently looking at. So in terms of exporting all 3 of these worksheets, you have to do it one at a time and then come back into the Excel file to do the other ones. I'll show you that in a second. So what I've got is I've set up my table of data here, and as you can see, the first row, as we had before, has the names of the columns, which are the fields that were going to be the fields in the MySQL database. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you set them all up with appropriate values. Again, if you have 2 words like atomic number, put an underscore where you would normally put a space, because you don't really want to have a space in the name of a field in MySQL. I think you can, but it's better to avoid it if you can help it. And then what you're going to do is, once you've got this data in your Excel spreadsheet, then go online and actually make your tables. So let me bring up, actually no, I'm not going to go into IE, I'm going to go into Firefox. So go to the website. And sign in. And again, you won't see all this information, but what you will see on the left-hand side is my one and your particular database. Okay, so I'm going to go into my one. I'm going to create my first database, and that's going to be elements. So I go back to Excel and I work out, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 fields. Remember, you want to add a couple more for the ID and for the updated date. So let's do 16 fields. And hit go. And you can shrink the left-hand side. And I'm just going to make the names of the fields match the names that are in the Excel database. So, so let me go back. So the first 3 are atomic number, name, and symbol. And then we have atomic weight, phase, STP, and type. And group, period, and econfig. Melting point, boiling point, electronegativity. And CASRN and discovery. Discovered. Make sure they match up properly. Yeah, discovered. Now if you get errors on import, it's probably because the names of the fields that you put here, which you'll then use to do the import, don't match the fields that are in the table. Okay, so we've got to change these to appropriate values. So tiny int 3, no default, no collation, attributes, unsigned zero fill, index primary, and then once you come across here, auto index on. That's really what you should always do for the ID field. Then atomic number is also a tiny int field, but and it's unsigned, but it doesn't have to have zero fill. In fact, it shouldn't really. Name is a varchar field. It's set up 30 characters for the name. And again, as far as collation is concerned, you don't have to enter it here. You can enter it down here, and that will be used as the default for all fields that need it. And you want to go find, where is it, UTF-8 Unicode CI. Oh, and you want to change the storage engine to MyIsm. Alright. Symbol, varchar field, I need 2 characters. Atomic weight is a decimal. And I think, let's see, we say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I think it was 10, 6. Actually, I think it was 9, 6 that we used before. Phase STP is best set up as an enum list. So let's go find that enum. Click to get more space. It helps you enter it. Solid, liquid, gas, and I think synthetic is in there. Let's go back and look. So if we scroll down, synthetic, yeah. Okay, now we could have done that, come up with that list in Excel. In fact, I'm going to do that for the next field. So let's go and save that. All right. Now type is again an enum list because it's kind of like different types of elements, given them a particular designations. A nice way to get a quick list of the different values that are in the type column or any column is to select all of the text in that column, excluding the first entry, which is the title of the column, and go up to data and advanced, and what you're going to get is this little pop-up dialog, and you can either filter in place, but that's not very useful. What you want to do is you want to filter this list and copy it to another location, and so it's automatically going to set it to the side in the P column here, and that's fine for now. We need to get rid of it before we export the files. But what you want to do is also do unique records only, and what that means is now obviously it will only take out of that selected area the unique values in the type field and put them as a list here in the P column, and there it is. And in addition to that, I mean, if you want, you might also want to organize them alphabetically, in which case you can do a right mouse click and sort A to Z. And now this list, of course, it makes it easier for you to type in the values into MySQL. So the first two are alkali metal and alkali metal. And then next we have halogen and metalloids. Let's add 4 more spaces here. Noble gases. Now that's interesting. We have 2 entries for non-metal. And you may be like, well, why are there 2 entries for non-metal? And they should be unique. More than likely that means that in one of the entries in that column, maybe non-metal has an extra space at the end of it or something like that, which makes it look different in Excel's eyes. So noble gas and non-metal. And then what else? Poor metal, rare earth metal, and transition metal. Poor metal, rare earth metal, and if we add one more, transition metal. Okay. Don't press the close button before you saved everything. Alkali metal. Let's see. Halogen metalloids. We need 5 more. Noble gas non-metal. Poor metal, rare earth metal. Okay, this is where you press go. Okay, there we go. Group is represented by numbers, so that can be just numeric values. So that can be, again, a tiny int, and we only need to display a length of 2 digits. Period is also numeric, and actually only goes through 7, so we can do tiny int, and I'm going to show 1 digit. Econfig is a varchar field, so let's make that like that. Melting point is a decimal. And this time I've left the data as degrees C, so there are negative values, so we're going to need to make sure that we allow negative values. Where am I going? Decimal. No, not date. There we go. And if we look at the numbers real quick, oh, there's no decimals. Oh, there are decimals. Okay, so a couple of decimal places maybe. So let's say 6,2, and the same for melt and boiling point, which should be spelled correctly. Electronegativity. Again, we can, as a decimal, it will be 2,1. CAS registry number is a varchar field. We probably only need 15 at maximum. And even though discovery is year, there are values in there that are not available. Oh, in fact, we need to go back and change that for electronegativity. So this needs to be a varchar field as well. Make that 10. And so does electronegativity, because there are values in there that are not numeric. Okay, finally the updated field needs to be timestamp, and then we have to change to current timestamp there. And once we're done with that, we can then save. And hopefully there's no errors. There we go. Alright, so now that I've got the elements table, let's see the structure again, then I go back to Excel, and I'm on the General tab, which is the data that's going to go into the elements table. So I need to save as. Okay, so now tab delimited text, save, click OK. Okay, and again, you're going to do the other two worksheets. You're going to have to quit out of this file in Excel and come back into it, and then click over to Isotopes worksheet and then export to tab delimited text again, and then you'll get the isotope data, or you would get the isotope data. If it's your data, obviously it'll be journals and then publishers. So don't save, there's no point. Okay, now import is how we get the data in. Again, we go browse for the file, and that's on the desktop here. Elements, open. Okay, we don't need the first row because that contains the column headings, and then we need to change this to CSV, and then do /T for tab delimited, and then we need the column names. So this is where minimize the browser, and we go out to the element data, and we come in here and we look at this, and we go and get the data from the first column, being sure to go all the way across. And copy that. And then hopefully when we paste that in, we will have all the names of the fields that we need, and they match up with what's in the database. And then we have to replace all the tabs with commas. Now, one of the things we forgot to do was take off that list of the different values for the type field, which was in the P column in the Excel spreadsheet. So either you go back to the Excel spreadsheet and you delete them there, and then you re-export to the tab delimited text file, or if it's a small amount of stuff that you need to change, then you can go into the text file and delete it out of there. It really depends on how much work it's going to be, which way you go. Okay, type number, that should be the end. All right. Now go back, so we're going to go back to the notebook, and I'm going to get rid of this stuff. So I want to take out that value, and then I'm also going to take out the tab, 2 tabs actually that's there. So I want to basically delete all the data to the year of the discovery, and I'm going to delete that as well. I'm going to delete that. Again, if you had deleted it in Excel, of course it wouldn't be here in the file, so you wouldn't have to do this. So this is the consequence of not being careful when you're exporting. Okay, one of the things you also might want to do is go to the bottom of the file and make sure that you get rid of any extra text that's down here. And there's plenty of extra text that I can see here. In fact, if I go, let's see, go back here. I'm going to have to select, there's a whole bunch of basically tabs here. So you really want to have it so that nominally you have, looks like we've got some extra tabs at the end here. You know what, we may have to, I'm going to go back into Excel and do this because it looks like there's some extra tabs after the year, and that's not going to help us. So it's going to be more difficult to import it. So let me cancel out of this, don't save it. I'm going to go back, find my Excel spreadsheet, open it up, go over, now I didn't save the spreadsheet itself. If you noticed, I saved to a text file. So the original spreadsheet didn't have that data on the right hand side. So hopefully we got rid of that. But let's go scroll through and make sure we can get rid of anything else. And at the bottom and on the right. So basically go in down and select a few columns, and then right mouse click and clear contents is a good thing to do, and then do the same thing maybe in a couple of 3 columns on the right hand side to make sure you get rid of any cells that nominally might show up in the exported text file. Alright, so save that. Okay, now let's go and again export this, as a tab delimited text file. Save, replace, okay, and then close this out and not save it. Alright, and then we'll go in and look at the elements data again. Okay, yes, it's better now. There's no extra tabs on the right hand side, although it looks like there's still extra lines, and so maybe we didn't select enough. Anyway, it's simple enough to just delete those out, and I would actually leave one carriage return at the bottom here, so one line that doesn't have anything on it. Save it, and now we'll go and finish this up. So we'll go in. This should be good to go. We've got the names of our columns all here. We've got the file, and we're getting rid of the first row. So let's go, and we imported correctly, and now we can browse, and there's all the data. Okay, so you do that process for each one of the 3 tables that you need to make, and the easiest way to do this is definitely to put all your data first into Excel in 3 different worksheets, whether it's in 1 file or 3 files, and then import it like I just did into phpMyAdmin into MySQL. Okay, let me have any questions if that doesn't make sense.